Hey everybody, this is Brad. Today I want to talk about bug out bags or go bags. Basically, I believe mine's a little bit different than some of the others that you see out there because I actually consider this my 72 hour and beyond bag. Not only do I have the essentials to get through 72 hours, but I also have some other things set up to where if I need to be out longer, then I believe that I've got a good chance after that 72 hour mark, and I think a lot of bags just are at the 72. So if you're big city, just trying to get to a FEMA center out of city, probably not this type of bag that's going to work for you. If you're in a rural area like I am, you need to go out, your house is compromised, you need to stay out in the woods, maybe a little bit longer. That's kind of what I would advise this for. Now, the ideal weight that's recommended is 20 pounds. I have 4 pounds of food and water in mine. That puts mine at 23 pounds. On a long-term scale, it's 19 pounds. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and go through. I want to take each item out and show it to you, just to give you a little bit of explanation, but also kind of show you how I pack it in the order that I go through. So that way, if you're looking to do this for the first time, you can kind of get the full rundown on everything. First and foremost, most important thing that you need is an extra light. Basically, I've got this, which takes 3 batteries that are in it, and I have 2 backup sets of batteries. I have 6 extra batteries. Also, you'll see a lot of Ziploc bags in my go bag. You never know when you're going to need an extra container for food, nuts, berries, anything at all that you might need. So I've tried to incorporate a lot of Ziploc bags and things like that for storage in my go bag. In my next compartment, I have 2 additional lights. This one is actually a signaling light that I can hang from a tree or something like that if I need rescued. This is just a little camp light in case I need to read something or do something little at camp. I also have a waterproof notepad with something to write on it. That way it doesn't smear even if you're right in the rain. And I'm a smoker, so I also have 4 Nicoderm patches. That way I've got 4 days supply of nicotine in case I'm out of cigarettes. That way I don't immediately get grouchy with everybody. If you're not a smoker, you don't need it. And the reason that I went to the extra trouble to show that to you is because if you are, that's some of the little things that you might want to think about that you might not have thought about before. In my next compartment, I have a head cap, or toboggan as we say in West Virginia. That way it's really, really cold outside. I've got some extra head warmth. Also a little bit of extra cushioning when I'm sleeping at night. Got a good pair of work gloves, not only because I have to do things around camp, but also for my steel container. If I'm boiling water or something like that, I need something to be able to reach in, get that boiling pot and take it out. And these will also fit that bill. This is the knife that I have. This is the Bear Grylls Gerber. I really like this knife because it's a really thick blade. You can use it with a rock for chopping. It's got a really good blade, has a steel point on the back, has a whistle on it. Also has a fire starter built into it that from this point you actually strike your fire. And it also has a knife sharpener on the back of it. So it's everything all inclusive. I don't have to carry anything extra, and everything's taken care of with that. I have a small pocket saw. If you are the type of person that you want to make your own shelter from chopping down bigger trees and doing the Bear Grylls way, go for it. I've got my shelter actually in my go bag, so I just need this little hand saw. That way I won't have to really chop anything down more than 2 or 3 inches or anything like that. So that's why I've chosen a little bit more lightweight version than a big saw. This is my Bear Grylls fire starter. Yeah, I've got a couple other ones in there, but this is the best one that I've ever seen. And I'll just show you one spark. Puts out a lot of sparks. I've lit several things on the first try with this. I strongly recommend that one, although I'm not a big brand name person, just because it works very well for me. Got a little multi-tool that I can do lots of things with. Also have an emergency blanket that I can get to quickly in there just in case something weird happens and I need to get some immediate warmth. Also have some zip ties, cable ties, in case you have to put something to something else. If your shoelaces break and you need to make sure that your shoes are tight, there are 1,000,001 uses for this. Also have a pair of rubber gloves in case I have to administer first aid, field dress an animal, sanitation, anything like that. That's what I carry that for. In my two pockets here, I have two extra water bladders, and I've also got an extra rubber band and a carabiner on there. And I've got a few different rubber bands in there. Never know when you need to use those. And then I also have an extra 110 yards of fishing line, 100 uses for that. This is my fire tin, and I have a magnifying glass in here. I have a lot of matches, waterproof matches. These I actually made myself. These are just the little flat cotton swabs that women take their makeup off with, and basically you melt a candle, put about 10% lamp oil for flammability in there, dip it in for 3 seconds, pull it out. It's nice and waterproof. You tear into a little bit, expose out the fibers, hit it with your ferro rod, and it will light immediately and burn for 5 minutes. And I also have a fire striker on the inside of that as well. In my bottom compartments, I have my 100,000 gallon water straw. It's got the straw that puts on it. This is to flush it out. One of those two bladders I showed you goes with it. Again, it's good for 100,000 gallons of water, 1 gallon of water a day. That'll last you over 260 years, so last you a little bit longer than 72 hours. That's what I was looking for. Also have an SAS survival guide, pocket guide. In case you forget anything in a survival situation, chances are you'll be able to find it in there. Another thing that I've got some extra rubber bands, an extra Ziploc to keep this dry. Also I've got an extra container with my Ziploc bag. I'll go down to my main container, or my main compartment. And in the top section I have 3 fishing yo-yos. And basically, that one doesn't want to come out, but there are 3. You tie the white part to a tree, and then this part actually extends down and it hooks up to where once a fish bites it and puts pressure, it releases this and it keeps tension on the line so they don't get off. You don't want to burn calories doing any one specific thing. I can set 3 of these out and I have a chance to catch additional food, and I don't have to sit by the creek bank. I can be back up at camp getting things done, working on fire shelter, other things. So I have 3 of those. Also I have 8 ready baths, and basically these are just a moist towelette, 8 of them, and it's basically 8 showers in a bag. That way you can clean up and things like that. There's the third one. This is an NOAA weather radio. It's an official American Red Cross, and this is a hand crank device that powers up everything that you would need to be hand cranked. It has a flashlight on it. It has a radio in it. It has all the stations of the NOAA weather radio. It has headphones, has a USB, you can charge your cell phone. Also has solar panel on the top. So that's a very, very important thing to carry with you. And the bottom compartment, I have 2 additional ponchos in case I'm out in the rain. And just because you're out in the outdoors doesn't mean you have to be uncivilized. I have a roll of toilet paper, and I also have a 1 gallon bag that it's in, so that's an extra large container that I can store things in. The bottom of my main compartment, I told you that I had food, and I actually have 2 of these. This seal broke on this one, so I put it in my vacuum sealer. This is a Mainstay 3,600 calorie food rationing. Basically, there's 9 bars, each one's 400 calories. So breakfast, lunch, and dinner is 1,200 calories a day. There's 3 days, there's 3 days. So it is a little heavy, weighs about 3 pounds, but that is 6 days worth of food in a very small amount of space. Also have a bottle of water, that way in case I'm not immediately at a water source and I'm thirsty, or I had to do something evasive and I'm dry mouth or anything like that, I've got my first supply of water on me. I've got a full change of clothes and use my vacuum sealer on this. I've got a pair of pants, a short sleeve shirt, long sleeve shirt, pair of underwear, and I believe 2 pair of socks in there. One thing I would tell you is always put 2 pair of socks in. I've tried wearing a pair of socks for a couple of days in a row before just to see how it would be. It's something that you don't want to do. So make sure you have plenty of changes of socks, because if you can't move and your feet go down, then you're in trouble. Now, this is actually something that I got from the Pathfinder school, and it's a 2-in-1 combo. So basically, you have your pot for warming up any type of canned foods, stews, boiling water, coffee, anything like that. There's a lid that goes on it, and then you have the stainless steel container, single wall. You can put this right in a fire to boil your water, and nothing will leach into it or anything else. I do have this one packed with a couple comfort features. The first one is I have quite a bit of instant coffee. Nothing like a cold, damp night to be followed by a nice warm cup of coffee. I also have an extra Ziploc bag in there. And then I also have some flavored water pouches just for an extra pick-me-up. And I made these out of cutting straws and burning one end, putting some spices in, and then sealing up the other end. Then I've got everything from salt and pepper and Creole and garlic and onion powder and different things like that. So, you know, any game or anything like that, I even have some fish rub in there as well. So anything that I catch out in the wild, I can season it up and make it taste better. My eating utensils, I did decide to go titanium for the weight, and I have 2 of those. I've got my spork here with the little knife cutting on the end, and I've got my long handle. That way if I need to get something out of the fire, or if I need to stir a soup or stew or something like that. And then I've got my eating utensils. This is a waterproof bag, and I've got some stuff in that, but also I'm a sleeper that I really don't sleep comfortably if I don't have a pillow. So I've got some large gauze and things like that I've put on the top. So basically this will make a better than nothing pillow to be able to have a little bit more comfort while sleeping. It's also waterproof. Keeps everything dry. It's also a container that you can put lots of things in. And here I've got 3 Ziploc bags. And this one I have some antibiotics, toothbrush and toothpaste, a sewing kit, and dental floss. This one is the larger gauze, and then the regular band-aids and things like that. That's my extra pillow cushion on top. This is some of the more specific and a little bit pricier stuff. This is the emergency gauze for combat. If you get a really bad cut, it'll stop bleeding. I've got aspirin, I've got antidiarrheal, I've got neosporin, I have insect spray, I've got the roll gauze, I have oral anesthetic in case you get a toothache for that, and I've also got some lip balm in there. So I've got some different things. I've got some eye drops and tweezers and things in there as well. I have a full roll of the 2-inch Gorilla duct tape. I have a windproof lighter in case there's a nasty situation and I need an immediate fire. And this is just one of the small 15-piece fishing kits that has some hooks, some sinkers, like a couple little bobbers, that kind of stuff. I did go out and add about 50 hooks in here as well, so that way I don't have to worry about losing the 2 or 3 hooks that are in there. I have a bunch of hooks. I'll do my shoulder last. On top of the shoulder, I also have a full fleece blanket. It's very soft. It's very lightweight. It goes in the bottom, so it gives me pads, so some of the harder stuff with harder edges doesn't go in my back when I'm trying to carry it. So I've got a full fleece blanket. And then I have 2 bandanas. There are a million uses for that. If you're going through a smoky area, you can cover your face, you can put it over your head, you can wet it down to keep yourself cool, you can use it as a sling for your arm, you can use it to start a fire, you can use it to put over your pail so that when you put it down in the water with a rubber band around it and you're trying to get water in, you set it with the open end downstream, and then water will trickle in, but you won't get the pebbles and the dust and the debris and stuff. If you just try to scoop it down in, you get all that sediment and stuff that sits at the bottom, so you can use it for that as well. Personally, I'm not that good at recognizing different plants, things that are edible, stuff like that in the woods, so I do have some different waterproof pamphlets. I've got improvised trapping. I have a guide to edible and non-edible mushrooms. I have a guide to medicinal plants, and I have a guide to wild edible plants, and again, each one of these just folds out. It's completely laminated, and it tells you what you can have and what you can't have for each one of those four. And that is everything in the bag except for my shelter. So I've got this large waterproof bag which keeps all my shelter dry. It's also a very large container, so again I can put additional things in the container. And basically what I have here is one of the emergency blankets that it's basically like this on one side, then it's the silver emergency blanket on the other side that reflects heat back into you. This is, I believe, the 6x8 and has grommets in the corner so you can do things to tie them down. So within that I have 100 foot of 550 paracord, parachute cord, so that way I can tie it up any way that I want. I also have two large 3mm leaf bags, the really large trash bags for leaves. That's used as a vapor barrier. You put the trash bags down underneath of you, and the moistness and everything from the ground doesn't soak up and get you wet and get you cold, everything like that. If it's fall time or extra leaves on the ground, you can even stuff them with leaves, and you can make it a more comfortable sleeping bed for that. I also have 4 tent pegs, tent stakes, and these are titanium as well, so these are very, very light to go in there. So I can either tie it up to a tree or I can stake a couple sides down as well. And then I also have an emergency bivvy. So this is basically an emergency blanket that is an actual sleeping bag, so you actually get out and get down into it. So this is everything that I need to be able to provide shelter for myself. So that's everything that's in my go bag, my bug out bag. If you have any questions or comments, please put them down in the comment section below, and I hope that you found some things that are useful in this that you can apply to your own. Thanks. See you.